listening to the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast, a podcast in sisterhood for female entrepreneurs that serves up savvy, actionable marketing advice and interviews with creative business owners who are in the trenches, building their businesses as we speak. The Marketing in Yoga Pants community is for you, the girl on her couch, in her yoga pants, top knot tight, hunched over her MacBook, trying her hardest to get the word out about her business. So in the name of supporting each other while supporting ourselves, bringing community, sound marketing advice, coffee, chocolate, and wine together for you, yoga pants wearing business owner, in a world where followers mean nothing but paying customers mean the world, join us on this week's podcast episode and in our private Facebook group where you'll meet your soul sisters and build your business in yoga pants. Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. I'm Brit and I'm here today with Elizabeth Guerrero. She is a stay-at-home mom entrepreneur. Thank you so much for joining me today, Elizabeth.
Hey, Brit, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I want to tell the listeners how we first met. So Elizabeth and I are actually from the same area of Pennsylvania, never knew each other until a few months ago when we connected in, surprise, surprise, a Facebook group, how I meet all of my friends these days. And so we met in this Facebook group that she actually is a moderator too. She's in the Facebook group, but she's also moderating it. And I figured out, hey, we don't live that far from each other. Like we both live in the middle of nowhere. So when you can find somebody that lives within like an hour and a half of you, you're like neighbors. So
yeah, exactly.
naturally, we have to get coffee, get dinner or something, because we live so close to each other, quote unquote. And so a few months ago, we did get to meet in person, which was such a joy. And I'm so pumped to have her on today, get some insight into her business, her world. There's a lot of things going on, so I can't wait to get into that and what makes it all tick. So, Elizabeth, are you ready to jump in?
You betcha.
All right, let's do this. So, first of all, tell me about how you earn your living.
Well, you and I talked before we started the podcast. It's so funny to nail that down because I've done so many different things. I do a lot of things at once, and that's the way I like it. My background is in teaching. I am a certified music, Spanish, and English as a second language teacher. And I taught for 8 years actually, out of college. But now I'm finding myself, as you said, as a stay-at-home mom entrepreneur. And the way I do that is I have a couple income streams right now. First of all, I am a field leader for Rodan and Fields, which is the top skincare company in the country. So I market their products, but more of a focus for me is I bring my teaching skills into that, doing recruiting and training for the company. So I recruit and train their independent consultants. I have a team of girls that I work with, and I love that. That's a huge thing for me. And joining that company and developing my own business with that is such a huge part of my story in becoming a stay-at-home mom, because I knew that's what I wanted, and I had to find some transition point from being a teacher and having a traditional job to being at home and totally on my own boss. And that is what Rodan and Fields is for me, is that turning point. And I love that. And then I also have the job that brought you and I together, which is I'm a project manager for Ash Amberjay at the Middle Finger Project. I'm her right-hand woman and her sounding board, and she has all the creative ideas, and I work out the details to make them happen. And that really satisfies my type A need for organizing. That hits that sweet spot for me. So I've got both of those things going on, and I love them both. I've always had, my hand in multiple pots, and that's what I'm doing now. And who knows what I'll be doing next.
Yes, that's so exciting. And yes, so the Middle Finger Project, if you're not aware, is the place to be online. If you're anything like Elizabeth and I absolutely love it. And Ash Amberjay is just, I don't even know how to describe her. Like Wonder Woman, my hero. I don't know.
She's
but
smart.
She is, she's awesome. And she has, I so respect her way of bringing together her team, because it seems like her team, you and Janelle and Megan and whoever else is behind the scenes doing things, man, you guys do an amazing job at keeping everything together. And I
Thanks.
can't wait to talk about Rodan and Fields too, because that's a major part of your story. So,
Yeah.
so two main income streams going on. Tell me that story. Tell me how you came to be doing this with your life.
Well, so as I said, I started my degrees in teaching. After college, I got a teaching job in Spain for 2 years. Um, so I'm in Spain teaching English to middle schoolers, which that's trial by fire right there. You know, I don't know if I would recommend it or not, I guess, depending on what you're looking for. But my husband is from Spain. And so we wanted to live there for a couple years before we, quote unquote, settled down. But my time in Spain was really important to me because, I'm like I already referenced, I'm a type A overachiever perfectionist. And as I was finishing up my senior year in college, I was really close to burnout, and I didn't want to go into the workforce right away. I needed some kind of a break. And that led me to this job in Spain where I was only working like 12 to 16 hours a week. And doing that for 2 years, at first, like Spain, if you think of like Mediterranean culture, like siesta, hasta mañana, like we'll do it tomorrow, like that's real. Like that's actually what it's like. And I was so resistant to that at first. Like I wanted to be go, 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 get things done. Like, what are we all waiting around for? You said you'd be here an hour ago. Why aren't you here? I was so resistant to it. But it was such an important time of growth for me because I came home 2 years later and I'd really learned a lot about slowing down and enjoying life and prioritizing real life at least as much, but really more than work life. And so then I found myself, back at home ready to settle down. I got a job pretty soon, which I was very lucky to get. And then I started that school year with my first full-time job, really excited, like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I've been waiting for. This is my whole life. Like, this is going to be my career. And it really was just a matter of months where I found myself sitting at my desk at lunch, eating my yogurt and being like, what the heck did I get myself into? I felt like I looked around and my colleagues at that school are amazing. I saw people around me who either like were so passionate about what they were doing and so good at it. And I felt out of place because I didn't have that strong of a passion. And then there was the other camp of people who were counting down their days to retirement in like years and decades. And I couldn't imagine being like that either. Mm-hmm. So I just found myself in this place of like, gosh, I thought this was going to be it. And I don't think it is. And I really went through a period of a couple of years not knowing what it could be and getting majorly stressed out about it. Like, bouts of depression, being really hard on myself, trying all this different stuff and just not knowing what it's going to be. And so kind of leading into your Ash Amberjay, the Middle Finger Project, Ash and I actually went to middle and high school together. Mm-hmm. So I knew her, IRL in real life, and had followed her journey of starting her business. And I remember one day at lunch at school, reading her blog, and she made some kind of reference, I'm not quoting it exactly, but about sitting at your desk feeling like your bones are rotting away. And I was like, oh my God, that is how I feel. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel. And it was like devastating in one sense to realize that's how I felt, but it was also a turning point because I realized, for one thing, that I wasn't the only person who felt like that it wasn't wrong to feel like that. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I had someone to follow now. So I became just a huge advocate of her blog, and working with Ash and just knowing her in real life led me to a couple different dabbles in the business world. I had an Etsy shop for a while. I did some group coaching of women. I had a blog where I was doing more of, like affiliate type marketing, just different stuff I was dabbling in. And then in 2013, I found out about Rodan and Fields and was really drawn to the idea of being able to work completely online and leverage my people skills with just that total flexibility. And I thought the company was phenomenal. It's the doctors who made Proactive. They were setting out to make another global brand. And I thought, okay, this is something where I can leverage a ready to go, like reputable brand, like not having to build all that infrastructure, put the money into the infrastructure myself, but still be my own boss. So I've been with that company for almost 3.5 years now. And the income that's brought me has given my husband and I the impetus for me to be able to quit my job, which I'm just going on a year now of since I left that job. But also Rodan and Fields has given me the personal and professional development to be really firm in this kind of lifestyle that I want to be living and that I am living. So that's, how I got to that opportunity, which has really become a huge thing for us, for our family. And I love it so much. And then the Middle Finger Project kind of came around full circle when last year in 2016, I was pregnant with our son, which was really the culmination of why I started this business in the whole place, to be a stay-at-home mommy like I am now. And I was going on maternity leave, and the beauty of my Rodan and Fields business, I only spend about 10 to 15 hours a week on it. So I started maternity leave a month before I was actually having my son. And, so, I was going to have about 25 extra hours a week not working now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not one to just sit around. And Ash had put something out like, I could use some help for a couple weeks on getting some stuff, taken care of. And I emailed her and said, well, I'm at home, I can help you out. So I really started with Ash as just a friend, helping a friend for a totally short-term basis. And that turned into being hired on as customer service. And then to a couple months later, Ash had me hire this team to fulfill the more VA work that I'd been doing for a couple months so that I could step up into more project management and business development, which is what I've been doing for just about a year now.
Okay, I like to. Okay, I understand how that all worked now. Okay, very cool. So tell me about you. You said within Rodan and Fields, your focus is on. You're still teaching, right? You're still teaching. Take me into what your responsibilities are within Rodan and Fields. What do you actually do? Do you sell the products? Do you build your team? What does that look like?
Right. So I do both of those things. And my personal focus, so I sell the skincare products, which are phenomenal. I mean, you can see in the video, I think my skin's really clear. And I grew up, I remember in 5th grade, I got my first pimple, and my skin was just terrible all through middle school and high school and college, and until I was 27 and I started using these products. So my product story of what the products have done for me are really strong, and those around me. So in terms of selling the products, really just sharing my own story and those of other people I know, that's my marketing for that. It's really just word of mouth. It works. I love it. Let me know if you want to try it. So that part is pretty passive. And then the team building is what I love so much, because I am an educator and a coach at heart. So when I started with Rodan and Fields, and I knew I wanted to build a team because there's a lot of income potential there, but really I knew that's what would light me up too. I started with talking to some of my friends who I had worked with in my previous business venture, doing not business coaching, like life coaching in small groups with women, where they were other girls like me, most of them who I'd gone to high school or college with, where we felt like we wanted something. We wanted some kind of income stream. We wanted to have a business. We wanted to gain some ownership over our lives, but we didn't really, we weren't going to go start something from scratch. We didn't have a really strong creative skill that we wanted to turn into a business. And, I came to those girls and was like, hey, I started this thing. I really like it. It's got what we wanted to get out of it, to be our own boss, make our own schedule, make good money, but without, all the marketing and the branding and all this stuff that it's serious stuff. You're a professional. It takes a lot of time and a lot of craft to come up with these things. That's not my zone of genius. Mine is in the people interaction and the educating people. So I love the, business in a box aspect of that. And now I forget what your original question was.
Oh yeah, you answered it. Just
Okay.
kind of what Rodan and Fields, what that looks like as far as responsibility for you, because I know, there are different companies where there's similar setups.
Oh,
You get it, Mary Kay and whatever, of course. But sometimes without an insider's perspective, it's kind of just a lot of people just don't understand how any of that works. So
right.
that's intriguing, and it's cool how I really appreciate how you're like you're saying I knew that I had these skills and this zone of genius, but did it necessarily lead me to start my own company? Maybe not. I mean, maybe someday, but like that might not have been, that wasn't your path. So, but you were still open to finding, okay, where can I use this zone of
Yeah.
genius?
And I think I'm sorry, Brit, I mean,
Oh
you.
no, no, that's okay.
Where I found myself at when I found Rodan and Fields and found that to be such a good fit was I had an Etsy business for a little while because I am crafty. I'm good at it. I made really cute things. I loved it. But as soon as I made it a business, I didn't like it anymore. And I think that's what I had experienced in and then I love to write and share my thoughts. But as soon as I had a blog as a business, I was like, totally didn't want to do it anymore. So I came to a realization where I didn't have to turn my hobbies into a business. I could just enjoy them purely as hobbies, and finding a business that I think there's so much pressure out there, at least that I felt, especially in my 20s, was this pressure to find your passion and make money doing it. Well, my passion is enjoying my life with my family and my friends, doing the things I love and having fun and reading books and binging Netflix and being outside with my family. Like, those are my passions. Those are the things I love. And if I can find something that takes a relatively small amount of time so that I can have the finances to live that way and enjoy those things, that's what I want out of a business. And that's what I found.
Amen, sister. So I want to pull out something that I've always thought about, and I've spoken to people about, and your story really highlights it. It's that your quote unquote passion may not necessarily be your life's direction or your life's calling. Both of your streams of income and your major projects that you have going on right now have come out of a place of struggle, not necessarily out of a place of man, I'm just really into skincare, or oh man, I'm just really in
That makes me, I would never say that, but now I can't even, it makes me laugh just to imagine myself.
Or I'm really into project management for an online entrepreneur. Like,
right.
Well, no, it came out of knowing yourself enough to say, you know what, this teaching thing is not setting well with me. I don't see it working for my life in the long term, right? Because you knew you wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and be around your adorable 1-year-old, right? He just turned one. Yeah. And so it came out of knowing yourself enough to look to the future and say, okay, there has to be something better, and I'm willing to figure that out. I'm willing to try some things. And then and you said it, I mean, the marketing that you do for Rodan and Fields, just on your own personal thing, is you had a story of struggle. It was turned around by Rodan and Fields, and now would you say that's probably your number one marketing go-to? Like your biggest successes come from sharing your story and others? What's working for you right now as far as marketing Rodan and Fields?
Absolutely. I would say so just having that personal story has always been a part of it. And really, when you do so Rodan and Fields is in this social commerce industry, network marketing, whatever you want to call it, where if you're going to do it well, it has to be about a story, not about selling. I'm not a salesperson. We all are. Like, have you ever read To Sell Is Human, Daniel Pink?
Yes.
Yeah. So, we are all salespeople in that sense, but, not in the literal salespeople sense.
Right.
So my story has always been a part of it. Like, I'm really comfortable sharing my story at all stages as I'm going through it and afterwards. But then I would say the first 2 years in Rodan and Fields, probably the biggest business building thing for me was networking. And not in the sense of like going to networking groups, although I did do that when I could, but I was working full time. That really wasn't something I could do much. I can't, leave my 10th grade Spanish class because I'm going to a coffee meeting. Like I might have wanted to some days, but that wasn't really an option. So I did a lot of networking online by, just saying to my network, my friends, like, hey, I'm doing this thing. I don't know if it's for you. I don't care if you buy anything from me, but here's what I offer. Like, can we have a 10-minute phone conversation? Let me fill you on it. Tell me if you know anybody I can help. And I did that for 2 years, and it really worked to build my business because my people, like, they know who I am. These are people that have known me in different scenarios in my life, whether it's at work or from school or from grade school. I'm a genuine person. They know who I am. They know I'm truly, if I say I just am looking for the people to help, that's what I mean. So just intentional networking, which is also another really good book. It's called, I think, The Intentional Networker. That's another good book. I have it in my office, so I can tell you later the author. I can't remember off the top of my head, but just like actively reaching out to people and leveraging that word of mouth of what I do was really a big thing for my business, and it still is at different points. But then I think right now, the biggest thing for my Rodan and Fields business is just that story, just sharing, this is what I do, and sharing the story of people I work with too, who I'm really inspired by, sharing their success. And, for me, success, it's not financial success. It's whatever that financial success can afford you, whether it's being home with your babies, which is so important to me, or, a good friend of mine who is a Rodan and Fields consultant on my team. She's a teacher friend. She had to go through a teacher strike last year, and she found herself without a paycheck for almost 2 months. And she would have been in deep trouble if it weren't for her income from her little side gig. So sharing things like that is really how I build my business now. And I just, like, what I do isn't right for everyone. What you do isn't right for everyone. There's nothing that's right for everyone, but I just think it's so important to empower and encourage other women to, if there's something you're not happy about in your life, find out what the options are and try something.
Yes. Could not agree more. I fully agree with that. Okay, so let's shift and talk about what you're working on right now, because you've got, 2 different things, and you've got Theo and just everything. So where's your focus at? What is the main thing that's going on right now?
So it's so funny because I feel like I've been circling around this main thing for a while, and nothing is a linear path. It's these circles. In teaching, we call it scaffolding, just circling around and coming back to the same thing, but with the new knowledge and experiences you've gained along the way. So at the end of 2016, I was starting to feel really pulled in different directions by what I thought I should be focusing on, and just feeling like I was spinning my head in circles, not really knowing what I even wanted, like just looking around in so many different ways that I wasn't looking inside. And so I started 2017. I took a Post-it and I listed my priorities in the order that I wanted to live them with in this year. Number 1 was my husband and my son. Number 2 is being able to pay the bills, and just to be able to pay the bills, not worrying about anything beyond that. Number 3 was my health, and my health, not just like body-wise. Part of that is, yes, body-wise, but also just like doing the things that make me happy, that for maybe the past couple years I had set aside in favor of building this business, which at the time was totally appropriate and worth it. I was willing to set aside some of my hobbies for a while to get to the point of where I am now. But I found myself like, why am I keep putting these things off? Like, I need to be enjoying the things that make me feel like me again. And then number 4 was building my business beyond that. So building my business to more than just paying the bills had been a top priority for a couple of years, but I really realized I needed to put that down a couple priorities for this year and find just what it's like to just be like, as long as we're paying the bills, it's okay. And now I'm going to enjoy life other than that. So what I'm working on right now is being faithful to that and not chasing next or more, but just enjoying what I have right now. And like before we started recording, I told you, I got my work done today by 10 a.m. And now for the rest of the day, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think we're going to maybe do a arts and craft project. I'll probably cuddle with Theo this afternoon. Maybe we'll watch a movie. If it warms up a little bit, we'll take a walk. But, in the past, it would have been to do more work or try to find time to do more work. But I'm really trying to hold that at bay. And I've got some ideas that I haven't settled down on yet, but some more things that I want to do. I really see in my future more talking about the kind of things that you and I talk about. And I would love to get into some one-on-one coaching and doing some group programs, but I don't really know what that's going to look like yet.
Mm-hmm.
So for right now, I'm having fun thinking about that. And like I said, just being and sitting with where things are right now.
I have to say that's so encouraging to me. I don't know if I don't know anybody else, but that's encouraging to me because I feel that we probably come at things, you and I come at things pretty similarly in our type A. You gotta like have the plan, and we put the pieces together and we get things done. And I can definitely relate to that feeling of, okay, what's next? Even in the questions that I ask in this podcast, I ask about what's going on right now, and then I ask about, okay, well, what's next? Like what's coming down the pike for you? And while that might be a reasonable question for people building their businesses, and with somebody that I tend to be around, and I tend to be someone just very focused on growth, I'm encouraged to know and to hear from you that I know that your natural personality is to think about growth for sure. I mean, and we've had that conversation, but to know that it's possible to say, okay, that may be a stage of life and it's totally appropriate at some times, but you still, regardless of that nature, you can still take a step back and say, wait a second, do I need to look at my priorities and reorganize and be intentional about the stage of life you're in? And I love it, not only hearing that from you and how you kind of went through that process, but I love seeing it because, we're connected on Facebook and on Instagram, and just seeing the joy that you're not only allowing yourself, but you're also allowing your family in this stage of life. Oh my gosh. I mean, it just makes me want to like give you a big old hug because
like make me get all teared up, like just seeing the reflection of that. Yeah. It's like you said something there about like the stage in your life. I think about it as a season. And I think, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. Like since I was, I tried, I think like in elementary school, I tried to get all the kids around the block here to come in with me, and we were going to turn all my Babysitters Club books into audiobooks and try to sell them at school. Like, like I'm an entrepreneur from the cradle, and I love it. Like I love thinking of projects and working on them. But as an entrepreneur, I think as entrepreneurs, especially now with what we have online where it's so easy and awesome to form communities like you and I are a part of, we're not talking enough about the seasons of entrepreneurship where it doesn't always have to be hustle. And I don't think it should be. Like I've had a season of hustle in my business, and I'm sure I'll have many more in the future, where the hustle was worth the payoff of being able to quit my job and be home. But now is not a season in my life where there's any reason for me to hustle or where it's worth any trade-off. Even if it's like, and because I can have arguments in my head for hours with myself about like, well, Elizabeth, it would only be an hour and like you could take an extra hour a day and get this payoff later on. But, an extra hour a day, even if I'm just giving up an hour of TV or an hour of sitting on my butt or an hour of playing with my son, like there's no payoff right now that's worth that for me. And I don't think any of us are talking about it enough. And that's kind of the idea that I have turning in my head right now, where I'm trying to figure out what the business angle on that is I want to be the person facilitating those conversations and making a place to talk about this. And I feel like as women and as entrepreneurs, we almost like, I needed it, and now I want to give this to other women. Like there needs to be some permission given to take this step back or to just press pause. Like I don't think we're giving ourselves that permission.
I cannot agree enough. And from both ends, I know that right now I'm in a stage, or what did you call it? A
A
phase? A
season.
season. There we go. I'm in a
Mhm.
season where I got to be honest, I don't have to take care of anybody but myself. So I am pushing, and okay, so I might be getting a ton of stuff done a week. Well, my reality is different from other people's, right? And I so respect those that can be in any season and appreciate the seasons that everyone else is in. And I think that is so powerful. So while I'm sitting here knowing that I'm in a season of like, yeah, get your stuff done, because eventually I want to sit where you're sitting right now in a few years and say, I can reprioritize and I can reorganize my life. So I know that right now, in a few years, it's going to look different.
Mhm.
And I'm encouraged by your story, and I'm excited for those of us that have decided to kind of take our life's direction towards entrepreneurship, so we can do those things, so
Mhm.
we can reprioritize. And I'm really excited about where you might take that, because I think you're totally right. I think we all need to talk about this a little bit more, or a lot of it more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
and honestly, I need to talk about it every day because it's
mhm,
like the entrepreneurial culture of the hustle has this gravitational pull that is hard to stay out of. And so
mhm.
we got to keep talking about it.
We do. Yeah, I'm personally not one to love the word hustle, because I think it has been really over magnified and just taken to the extremes. And I think personally I'm pretty good with boundaries. Just my personality. I think I'm good with boundaries. I think I'm good with knowing like where I'm at. Um, but not everyone is there, and and then sometimes I get totally wrapped up into it, and I can get totally wrapped up into whatever I'm working on that day and realize that I way overextended myself. And then you got to pull it back. And so
Mhm.
everybody's at a different stage, but I think that conversation is definitely one to that's worth having, so we can all become more aware of it and
Mhm.
understanding ourselves and how we're doing this business thing, because it's up to us, right?
Yeah, and just giving ourselves permission to be where we are and to be
Yes.
cool with it.
Yes.
Because like, like you said, the boundaries, you're good at them. I think I didn't expect that I would want to move those boundaries depending on where
Mm.
it was. And not even necessarily just when my son came. I mean, obviously that's a huge change, but even like I remember saying to Ash about a year ago, like I said to her, like, does something change when you turn 30 where things I was doing at 29, like I could work until 8 p.m. and I was totally cool with it. And now I'm done at like 4. Like, does something change when you turn 30? And it's just, it's not just big life changes it can just be from week to week, even sometimes where
Mhm.
go with the flow.
Yeah, and the allowance and allowing yourself to do that, giving yourself permission to do
Yeah.
that. I really like that. Okay. All right, because I'm not going to ask you what's next. I'm going to just skip that question. Let's lighten things up a little bit. Some quick, easy questions. I'm really
Oh
excited to
gosh.
jump into these with you.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, what's your absolute favorite business tool you're using right now?
Oh, Asana. Like, who's not
Yes.
talking about Asana right now in our group? I love it so much. I love it for things I do for the Middle Finger Project. I love it for things I'm doing with Rodan and Fields. And I love it for like our personal, just family life. I am crazy about like photo and video documentation, like photo albums, scrapbooking, and all that. And I made an Asana workflow for like what I do with all the pictures on my phone, like getting them from my phone to the computer to Shutterfly to Photobook, like blah, blah, blah. I love Asana.
Ooh, that sounds like a little mini course. Can I just say that? Like, because I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm sure that some ears just perked up like, wait, how is she doing this?
Yeah.
We might want to document
You
that.
know what?
And
Ash told me that too. Ash told me I have some courses in me. You can help me dig
yes,
those out.
you totally do, because your mind works in a sequence
Uh-huh.
You can easily figure out step 1, step 2, step 3. Maybe not easily, but just naturally. It just kind of comes to you.
And I like it.
And you love it. And so that's a course builder right there.
So
And it's
definitely
a
a
trainer,
sauna.
a teacher. That's just you. So yeah. Okay. Tell me, are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I am an introvert who likes to play at being an extrovert. Um, which is weird. Like, it sounds like such a cop out, but it's true. Like, all through, I would say into high school, very shy, like, do not want to be like, I'm the kind of one who would get sick to my stomach knowing that it was going to be my turn to read aloud, like counting how many kids were ahead of me and counting the paragraphs to see if maybe I'd be able to get out of reading aloud, you know?
Oh, yes.
And then I always think back in middle school, I had seventh grade, I had an awesome English teacher, Mrs. Valentine, who made us all do these kind of presentations a couple times throughout the year. And at least in my memory, I remember her knowing that I didn't like it and that I was uncomfortable, but I have a memory of feeling encouraged by her. And I kind of took it upon myself, even at that age, to make myself do it. And I think I got really good at making myself do these things to the point where then I could be comfortable with them. And now to the point where I can really enjoy it. Like, I love getting into a conversation with someone at the grocery store in line if I'm in the right mood for it. But totally not me all the time. Like, I like to say I'm not the life of the party. Like, I don't want to be that at all. But I love, like, one-on-one with a stranger. I love just having conversation.
Yes. Okay. That's interesting.
So maybe could I say I'm an extrovert one-on-one? I don't know.
Well, I think it's about where you get energy from. For me, although I can definitely put on a show and I can be the center of attention and I can talk for hours and hours and hours, I don't gain energy from that at all. When I'm around a bunch of people, it zaps my energy almost completely. Ask anyone that's close to me, they see it happen. And then I just crash hard. And I gain energy from being by myself, alone, with my own thoughts. That's where I recharge. And then so I think it's more about that. But I think we also go back and forth all the time. So it's just, I love asking the question because everybody looks at it a little differently, and how that may or may not play into how they run their business.
I think I always think of it more in terms of not introvert or extrovert, but rather personal versus a group. And I'm definitely more of a one-on-one kind of person.
Me too. Yeah, definitely. Great. That's a great perspective. I like that. I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Early bird or night owl?
Oh, definitely early bird. My brain is not good for anything after mid-afternoon.
Yeah, I think the first time we met, well, the only time we met in person, I think it was kind of later in the afternoon. And I remember thinking, I am not at my best right now. And I remember stumbling over my work because I think after like 6 p.m., I can't talk. I just stumble over everything. Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, and it just, anything will take me forever if I have to do it in the evening. Like,
yep.
And I like to get things, like, this is a total part of my personality. So maybe it's a type A kind of thing too, but I like to get things done. I like to get the work done and then enjoy. So that's why I like to get up early, get my work done, and then just enjoy the rest of the day.
Ditto. Yeah. Okay. Where do you find your flow in your work? And I'm really anxious. I'm not anxious. I'm interested to hear this because I know you have a very specific system on how you organize your week. So where do you find your flow in your work? Those moments that just feel just on top of the world and the hours just fly by.
So as far as work, like when I'm in the flow with work is when I am organizing something. So whether it's for example, with Rodan and Fields, we had a virtual event this weekend where I put on my teacher hat and I organize it like a lesson plan where I have all the slides ready. I use a program where I get them all set, and then I go back and add personality to everything, and I prepare the images. Like that kind of stuff I can do for hours. Like anything planning and doing out the details, I love. And same thing with the stuff I do with Middle Finger Project. We have a new product or a revamped product coming out this summer, which the past 2 weeks, I've spent editing and proofreading a 400-page PDF. And I can and did do that for hours on end. Like just getting like details, like look at give me a 400 pages to edit for commas and hyphens versus em dashes, and I'm happy. You know?
Oh, wow. Bless your heart.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. And then because I really do think a flow state where you said there where like you don't even realize what time it is, or like being outside, mowing the lawn, doing projects like that. I'm totally happy. That's when I'm at my happiest.
Mm-hmm. And traveling with your family, right? That's a major energy giver for you, right?
For sure. And that's why I was glad we could fit this interview in this week, because next Tuesday we're off to Spain for a couple weeks.
So exciting. That's really cool. Did your son go with you last summer when you went?
Yeah, we went in September.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, he's already been to more countries by the age of 1 than I was 21. You know?
Wow, that's really cool. And I'm sure way more countries than I have ever been, because I don't even have my passport. Don't tell anybody. Yeah, right.
Wow, that's really cool. You're gonna have to take this show on the road.
Oh, I know. I definitely need to. I've so far I've interviewed people all over. Hannah in London, Heather in Scotland, cool. Natalie's in Australia, and all 3 of them are like, Brittany, passport, come on. Like, what are you doing with your life?
I'll break this project down into an Asana project for you, getting your passport and traveling.
Done. Thank you. As long as I can check something off, I usually get it done. It just hasn't made it there. Okay. All right. So one last question we have to end with. So I want you to look back on when you were first starting your business, that girl on her couch, hunched over her MacBook, trying to figure this out, just getting started. What would you say to her?
That it's going to be so worth it. Like, you're good. Like, you're not, because there were so many times where I questioned, like, is this really going to work? Is this worth it? Or do I just need to suck it up like everybody else and go back to my job? Because, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you've had days like this too, where it would be way easier just to go back to your job, and you'd have a lot more free time if you just went back to your job,
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, that can be kind of scary to realize, like, I quit my job to be doing this so I can have more free time. And I know I'd be having a lot more free time if I was back at that old job. Mm-hmm. But it's all about the short term versus the long term. Short term, yeah, it'd be easier. Long term, no. So there were definitely days where I was just hanging on by a thread to that idea that this will be worth it. So I would just say to myself, it will. Like, you're right. You're not crazy. Keep going.
Yeah. Oh, good. I love that. Okay. Okay. So before we go, could you please tell the listeners where they can find you online?
Sure. Well, right now I am just online on Facebook with Elizabeth Guerrero. And I don't have a fancy page or anything like that. I have a little landing page, like my little virtual business card I can share with you, but nothing fancy yet. I got to nail down this idea first.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll link over, and you're on Instagram and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. You heard her, girls. Go check her out, send her some love, and hop into our private Facebook group to hear even more from Elizabeth over the next few days.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. Keep the conversation going by visiting marketinganyogapants.com/Facebook, where you'll get to join that private Facebook group I've been talking so much about. There, you'll get to chat with our podcast guests. Yeah, they're in there too, and all of the other brilliant creative business owners. We're connecting, we're meeting our soul sisters, and we're building our businesses, all while in yoga pants. So come hang out with us. Again, visit marketinganyogapants.com/Facebook to get in. And one more thing. If you dig this podcast, would you be awesome and share it with someone? This entire Marketing in Yoga Pants movement is nothing without its community. So please share. And if you're really feeling the love right now, jump into iTunes. You're probably already there if you're listening to this right now. And leave us a rating and review. The more of those we rack up, the more the podcast will be found by ladies like you, and the stronger this community becomes. This episode was edited and produced by the Podcast Engineers. They're pretty great, so go find them at podcastengineers.com. This episode was also brought to you by my online marketing agency, Jam Marketing Group, and you can find us at jammarketinggroup.co. That's all for now. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you back here next week on the Marketing in Yoga Pants podcast. Love ya. Bye.